Welcome in. Where did that go? There it is. Thank you for the follow. I don't know how to pronounce that. Just to let you know, though, if you're one of those that wants the whole Reddit follow back thing, I don't do that. Okay, if I drop this one more time, we're going to work on something else. Yeah, I don't do the whole Discord, Reddit follow back thing. That's pointless. On Kick, there is a cooldown. There's a reason I got it on follow only chat regardless. But if we continue to have an issue, I might set it to subscribe only chat. Okay. Trying to figure out the orientation of the engine so that way I can put the exhaust on the right direction. Probably not going to see a lot of the engines when it's done, simply because I will be gluing the engine covers shut. Okay. Okay. Come on, you. There we have it. But I don't quite know yet. I might leave the engine covers accessible. Hmm? I wonder if model student doesn't realize that I am online right now. He just sent a message on YouTube. One moment. Yeah, he doesn't realize I'm on now. Stuff happens. Yeah, today's gonna be a weird day. Weirder than even normal. We had a seriously huge storm come through yesterday. And after work, I was exhausted. I came home, managed to stay up till about 9:30, and then crashed. I just crashed out when I got home. And then I didn't wake up till about 8:30 this morning. Spent the better part of 12 hours in bed. It's been a long week. How's it going, builder, model student? No, you just missed. I was talking about how exhausted I was yesterday. I came home and crashed. Spent the better part of 12 hours in bed. Just absolutely exhausted. So we're wrapping up some construction on the engines and other interior bits for the 35th scale Trumpeter Hind. No, it was more the fact that we had the basically storm of a century roll through. We got some flooding in the local area that has not happened in 40 years. They're saying almost 2.5 inches at Salt Lake International. But that's what happens when it doesn't rain since about May. And then when it decides to rain, it rains all at once. Well, some might call it rest. I called it waking up a lot and trying to get comfortable. I was tired, but I still didn't get a lot of sleep. Okay, there we go. That's why nothing's fitting right. There. Hi, Allie. Will you be careful? I figured I'd try and get a little more work done on this today. What are you... The Revell kit was actually pretty good, considering at the time it was made they just had a bunch of pictures to go off of. They got more than enough right on it for the time. Oh, come on, you. Try and build as much as I can here with a cat taking up all my extra space. In Soviet Russia, cat build you. Yeah, I don't know how much of the engines I'll actually have exposed. Sorry, my nose is tickling like crazy this morning too. Got the heater turned on. It was 45 degrees when I woke up. Yeah, I don't know how much of the engines will be visible. I am still one way or the other on if I want to have the panels removable. Well, have you seen the Czech Air Force demonstrator hind? The one painted up like an alien? That's how this one's gonna be. Yeah, just Google Alien Hind. Or Czech Alien Hind. CZECH. We'll see. That has yet to be determined. No, I'm going to be hand painting all of it. Hand painting and airbrushing. I've seen it done once on this scale. And it was done well, but it felt like the guy who did it didn't do enough in the highlight area to really make it pop to life. So I'm going to be using watercolor pencil and drawing out the areas as I do them, and then painting over it. Yeah, the one I saw just felt very visually flat. Like, he had all the colors and patterns mostly right. I think he goofed up one or two areas that weren't very distinct with the photos available at the time. I actually found an entire photo walk-around page of the guy painting it from camouflaged helicopter to finished product. So there's pictures showing all the steps he took, the different layers, everything. I'm gonna basically mimic that as I go along. You just gotta be the center of attention, don't you, girl? Allie? Allie? Hi. Hi, pretty. No, I'm gonna be winging it myself. So don't expect any kind of, art masterclass or anything. What are you all jumpy for, huh? Oh, it's because Frank's on the couch. Yeah, you and Frank were buddies until he got 3 times larger than you. If anything, I might leave one side removable. The troop compartment's not detailed enough for me to really worry about that. But given what I'm doing to it, I really didn't want to try and track down the res kit interior. I'm going to be spending enough time on the outside. And I still have to see if I can find some generic check decals for the airframe markings. Because this has some, but they're for active combat aircraft. They're not for this paint job. That is not yours to play with, thank you. You're really gonna stop being a little brat, you know, Allie? The main reason I don't want to leave the bays open is there's a lot more stuff that goes right here that's missing. And I really don't feel like replicating that, so I'll just need to clean up the exhaust sections. Probably shoot all this with black before we sandwich it all together. I kind of need this, Allie, so you're going to have to let go. Yeah, we might actually go ahead and get some other things built, like the stub wings, the part that goes under the chin. Because I want to check the stub wing fit to the fuselage to see if I'll need any filler or if I could make it easier for myself and leave the stubs off while I paint them. What are you looking at? Either this house is haunted or you and Frankie are just little maniacs. I'm going with the you and Frankie are little maniacs. Turn off my little space heater real quick, because I'm getting a little cooked. The hell was that? I'll be right back. That was weird. Things made noise, cats went ooh, and yeah. Really? There is not enough room for you and this box up here, Allie. Yeah, except you can't find it anymore. It was either... No, it wasn't ResKit who did this, it was Verlinden. And... Yeah, I don't think anyone else has done a resin cockpit for this kit. The 48 scale Zvezda one that was reboxed by Revell is the arguably best MI-24 kit. The problem is it's basically the 72nd scale Zvezda one upscaled. Has a lot of the same parts breakdown, and because of that it's also lacking detail due to being enlarged. Yeah, I still feel weird. I really was not expecting to spend that much time in bed. There's some raised lips on these ejector marks that I'm sanding down. And we may also have another storm come through this afternoon. But yeah, today I want to try and get as many of the sub-assemblies I can out of the way, and then start throwing in some base colors. I'm glad I've got 2 days off in a row, though. But after this week, my next day off won't be till Monday the next week, because I'm doing a 6-hour blow. Don't like it, but that's what it is. Or not a 6-hour blow, a 6-day blow. Just how the schedule falls. And I'd say I'd try and get a stream or two in the middle, just I'm not working days that are going to be conducive to that, because I'll be working mids, basically. So there won't be any time before or after. Are you comfy, girl? Hey, if you want to be on this table, you're going to take the occasional thumping by sprue. You should have learned by now. You're not a kitten anymore. Not everything is your plaything. Yeah, these parts are slightly undergated too, so be sure you clean that up or else you'll have a gap. Have a slight seam there, nothing a little middle Mr. Surfacer can't fix, and then a light rescribe. You and your billy club of a tail. Stop that. I'm going to go ahead and attach it here. That way if there's any seam to take care of, I can also get that at the same time. There will be a slight one, but nothing too big. Shouldn't need any putty for it. Yeah. Nothing I'll need putty for. Hey Davos, how you doing? Yep, Allie decided to join us early. Yep, that's gonna fit pretty good. An MI-24? I'm the derpy one today. Eleven and a half hours in bed. Just very tired. I totally understand that, dude. Between how tired I am, dealing with people myself, and just not being able to get away from the bullshit that's being spewed all the time, no matter what I do. Like, I don't even watch TV right now, and I still can't keep away from the bullshit out in the real world. I If you want to be antisocial, go be antisocial. I won't blame you at all. Just don't get an ASBO for it. We got cleaned up nice. We'll go ahead and glue that on. Just not being... Oh, that's just the base paint with no, with nothing yet. I did this a few streams ago, though. There's some, Lexan gauges kind of buried in there. You can kind of see the shine. That's it. I just assembled it and painted it the right color. Closest color I had. We might get to plucking out the details on that. I'm seeing how my hand-eye coordination improves or worsens on this. Let me look at the pictures I have on the underside real quick. I particularly don't like them. Mainly because it's a pain in the ass to mask them. The glue doesn't particularly stick to the acetate, so when you put the masking fluid on, it runs under. I had to fight that crap out of there. Exactly, like, the glue either fucks them up or it doesn't touch them. Okay, I can have it down. It's a light, but... Nope, I'm gonna park it. It folds up when it's on its wheels, so... Now, if it wasn't for the fact that there's like 3 different layers there, I'd agree. We all have our own ways of doing things. Mine usually drives everybody else insane. But I will say this, today is a very low energy day today. Well, when I lived in Florida, it wasn't crazy. The only pool around here I'd want to get into is an indoor one about 10 miles from the house. Let's get that. Unless they made this so I can only make it deployed, which I really don't want to do. Now, I'm gonna say the auto-translator there was wrong, and it's actually Ontario, Canada. Because it said Ontario, California, and I'm like, wait a minute. Careful, girl, you might not like the smell of this stuff. Just putting some Mr. Surfacer 500 along the seam. There's not a major step to it, so I should be able to sand it pretty flush without losing a lot of detail. And then all I've got to do is go back with my scribing tool and clean up the lines. There's a bit of a step here, but that should sand out. Yeah, it's not too terrible. I tried to minimize it, but I had to give one way or the other. That one I can, if it is too big, I can just get a small needle file and just give it a couple swipes. Gone. We're talking an early 2000s trumpeter kit. There's gonna be tons of them. So, in one of the past streams, people were wanting to see me do a more conventional aircraft model, as far as like painting. I was thinking the A10 Night Adverse Weather version. There were two made, they never saw service. But Hobby Boss does a pretty decent 48 scale one. And seeing of what it is, I don't have to pay particular attention to being crazy accurate or correct with it. And the nature of it means I can go kind of crazy on the contrasting on the paint. I don't do group builds much. I tend to lose steam on projects if I'm honest with you. Takes me a while to get through them. Some things catch my interest and stay there. Other things, they come and go. Ooh, dizziness in the busyness. Anyway. Alright, so let's put the stub wings together, minus the racks. And then we'll check the fit against the fuselage. It's not so much the pressure of it, it's just that when I've done group builds in the past, I thought I came up with something pretty unique and, you know, different. Just to have, you know, somebody else go, oh, I want to do that too. Yeah, there's that too. That's not so much it for me. Just something always steals my passion for the subject. You are just furiously cleaning, girl. But that's the way it should be, you know. I get it. Group builds are a way to get your community to go together and do things, you know. Absolutely nothing wrong in that. I just personally don't like to participate in them. It's not the idea of the group build that I don't like, it's just I personally I don't know what I'm going to want to build from one day to the next right now, and we'll use the LAV as an example, right? The idea, the passion, and the motivation for that project hit me all at once, and I powered through it, right? I just wham, bam, slam, thank you. Didn't so much care about accuracy as just doing it well and having fun. And I did. That was a really rewarding build to me. Centauro, the same thing, but then I just kind of lost steam when I had to start waiting on stuff, so I'm kind of trying to clean the palette. You know, the Centauro itself is mostly done. It's still a little clean. I'll come back to it, not too far from now. But it's not something that's pressing. You know, the box is gone, it's built, so it's essentially done for now. But with the group build, you know, they say, oh, you got 2-3 months to do this, and you're thinking, oh, I can do that. And then half a month in, life steals your time. That's the easiest way to put it. And you can't finish it. And that has almost always happened to me on most group builds, so I'm like, you know what? I'm not really going to bother with them anymore. What are you doing, Stinker? No, you can't get in the box. Hey. Yeah. Like, I still plan on doing a Humvee in a month, basically. But I got till the end of October to finish the one. So it's not like I'm under a lot of pressure, and it's a pretty simple model, and it's mostly ready for paint as it is. Some minor things I still gotta tweak, but I've only got myself to blame on that one. I'm doing alright, Major Havoc. Oh, good fucking god. You guys are gonna hate it when I have it finally, then. Or I could just call it the truck. Nice. I'm trying to stay motivated to work on stuff. I'm torn between this and just turning on a movie and zoning out the rest of the day. I've been very brain tired a lot lately. What are you building now? But it was either this or a frame arms kit, but the frame arms kits don't really seem to get too much attention anyway. So I'd rather just build that offline. Oh, nice. I had thought of taking some of my Tau stuff out of the closet and tinkering on it too, but just lately work and everything else has got me so brain tired. When I get home, I just want to veg out, you know? Which, that's not a good way to be honest. But I think Allie's kind of tuned into that, which is why she's down here with me, just giving me company. She didn't leave my side last night either. What do you keep looking at? Frankie's curled up on the couch, sleeping like he's dead. His head's upside down, for crying out loud. That actually fits dry pretty good. Let me look at the real one. If I can paint those off the fuselage, that would be great. Oh, another thing that the other person who had tried this got off is he went on an earlier scheme idea. I think he just used the orthographic picture of it because he did not recreate on this side of the airframe right here. There's actually a Predator helmet. On his, he just recreated the other side. There's a face here originally with tubes. On the actual airframe, there's a Predator helmet. Hey Jeffs, how's it going? Yeah, that basically just melts in there. I'll have to pre-plan some of the painting because it looks like there's a highlight streak that goes right down through here before he goes out onto the wing. I might be able to sand that down a bit, but it fits pretty good. And then we have, you know, furry trouble here with us. Gonna stop swinging it around now? Nope. Let me get some more music going here. That's the first hour and 14 minutes. Once I get this stub wing assembled, I'm going to take a quick break. Well, we think that she may have been abused before I found her. She and her brother were dropped off in a snowbank, like I've said many times before. And she was always the more forward of them. But one, she's undersized for the type. Even her tail's small if you look. But you can't really see it because of, the fur. But from right here, the tip of her tail is actually like crooked like that. So her tail's been broken before. And she absolutely despises dogs. Like, not just the usual cat hesitation, but she hears them bark and she gets really uppity. And the fact that whoever owned her before felt it was appropriate to dump her. But she's my little girl now. Aha. But even last night, I tried getting base painting done on Blackout, and I just couldn't get into it. That's pretty darn good. Okay. Jeez, girl, you're knocking my parts all over the place. Yeah, sorry this stream's not very energetic today, guys. Are you trying to tell me something?
The real brush guy said hello. Who's your man? The model student said how many models do you usually build in a year? If you don't mind. Just curious, I'm always impressed with what you are able to get done for someone who works full time with a busy life.
You know, I never really kept count. I know in 23 I averaged about one a week. But that was also because I'd started quite a few and decided to finish up a lot in that time.
Beaming face with smiling eyes emoji.
Because I'll tinker on a lot, but not finish anything, and then all of a sudden, you know, everything lines up and boom, 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 done. This year, though, has been it's been a bit busier than last year. Last year was a low year, I'm not gonna lie, but I was also learning a new job, and you know, a lot of other things kind of got in the way.
The model student said, my only regret is I didn't start earlier in life. Onto it now though.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing I try and keep from falling into is regrets, right? That kind of shit bounces around enough in your head as it is. Don't worry about the time that's been wasted already. You ain't getting it back. I shouldn't say wasted. Don't worry about the time that could have been used differently. It is what it is. You are where you are. Don't regret things like that. Just keep pushing forward. There's tons of shit we could all regret.
The model student said I tried to have an etch a sketch head. Burning face with sweat emoji.
Just give it a shake and forget everything? That usually requires copious amounts of alcohol, and that's not healthy or suggested either. I haven't had a drop since September 2001. So that might be part of why I'm able to do what I do and I've done what I've done.
The model student said I don't drink at all.
I used to, but not since, yeah, not in 24 years now. And trust me, it was tough doing my second enlistment, not drinking.
The model student said quit over a decade ago.
Because there ain't shit that happens in the military without alcohol being involved. Do I need part number 7 on this? If that's the rotor retainer, I'm going to toss it because I want the rotor to... Oh, excuse me. No, that is the tailplane retainer for these buggers. So I'm going to throw this in the box with the canopy and everything. Boop. That way I don't lose it. We're going to glue this onto where the engines go. That way I can get rid of this sprue. Frankie, come here, Frank. Oh. But with that, I'm going to take my break real quick. Stand up, move around. Y'all should do the same. Be back in a bit.
The model student said thumbs up emoji.
I'm back. Oh. Where were we? So if I glue this on right, let's get one of the engines. I should be able to pop the engines in before I put everything together.
The model student said I'm sanding wings. Grinning face with sweat emoji.
So I don't know, what do you all think? Should I leave an engine bay open or no? I'm thinking no. Just because the engine bays on this really aren't that detailed. But you need to have the engines in place anyway for the exhaust to sit properly. There. And therein lies... Yeah. And having an engine bay open would kind of ruin that. Alright. Just make sure I don't have anything else major for the fuselage to put together beforehand. Landing gear bays. I wonder if it's possible for me. I know on the nose gear it can be done, I think. I think I'll be able to do this where I can put the gear bays in and then put the landing gear in after. But I just want to see here. Because if I can temporarily attach all the doors and all that stuff without the landing legs sticking out, it'll make painting a hell of a lot easier. So that's the front. Might be able to do that. It'll be tight, but I should be able to finagle the gear in place. Yeah, I'll be able to do that. At least on the nose gear. Let me glue this in. At least on the one side. And then we'll work on the tail wheel areas. Because if I can get the A-frames for the tail wheels in without any trouble, then yeah. Left main, 21, 24, 27. Guess we'll find out in a second, won't we?
The model student said, just staring at the pics. That crazy cat on the side is nuts. I wouldn't have a clue how to begin at all. Mind bending pain curve for sure.
Well, that's why, like I said, I've got basically a full walkthrough of how he did it. And you can even see where he just went through and started sketching with the airbrush and then started filling in. A lot of it I'm going to have to hand paint and then figure out what I'll need to mask. Then I can airbrush the more diffuse effects in. But here, I'll take a picture and show you how it just started out all sketchy looking. Yeah, that's how it started out.
The model student said, I love the aqua blue on the bottom.
Oh, there's blue, there's pink, there's areas of brown. Just a whole bunch of stuff. And as you go through and look at the pictures, if you can find the site that I got them from, I forget where it was. You can see how the ideas even changed mid-paint.
The model student said it was a killer concept.
Okay, so this gets glued here and then there. Okay. And then these two. Yeah, it's going to take me a while to complete to get it right, so. And there might be even a few go back and redo areas just because I might start at one level and then by the time I get to another area have figured something out and be able to go back and redo it at a better, a better quality. But the guy who did the paintwork actually has a paper model website for aliens-based stuff that he did a lot of the work for. I know there's ejector pin marks in the wheel well. If I'm right, you're not going to see much of them anyway, so I'm not going to worry about them. And from what I gathered, there was supposed to be a follow-up one that was Terminator-based, but it never materialized. Okay, so for this, I'm going to have to build the actual suspension. 22, 18, and 20. Because I need to temporarily hold it in place and then see if I can wiggle it in.
The model student said as a kid the alien aesthetic was my fave. Everything worked and looked like
18. What's really sad is I think H.R. Giger passed before it was finished. Yeah, because it was painted in 16. I would like to think that he would have liked seeing it. Sorry about the eye-piercing instructions. And today might be a shorter stream anyway, just because of how I'm feeling. I'm honestly not here right now, guys. I'm doing my best.
The model student said, "Can you imagine Bagger walking towards you at night on a dimly lit street?" Flushed face emoji. The model student said, "Rolling on the floor laughing emoji."
From what I understood, he was actually a very nice, quiet person. You know, and the way he dressed wouldn't have thrown me for anything. Honestly, I would have loved to have met the guy. Strange, perhaps, but you know, you can't just go basing him on, oh, he's wearing all black with a leather coat and you know, something tied around his neck too. I think he always had.
Said, "Oh yeah, I know he was a gentleman."
But he even carried himself like that, so if you saw him walking down the street, you wouldn't have thought anything of it.
The model student said, "Me too." The model student said, "Looks are deceiving."
Okay, we're gonna let this set up for a bit before we try the full FAFO on it. Because when this goes in, it's left side, so it's gonna be this side. Yeah. It's going to go in right there. Yeah, both of the tabs that it locks into are accessible. I can actually do it just by doing this. Okay. So that goes like that. That goes like that. And then that sits down on there.
Caution, this build so far made. Helicopters are challenging. Scifi emerging.
Well, on this one, it's not so much that it's a helicopter, it's the fact that I'm having to somewhat plan ahead on how in the hell I'm going to do this. I can get that there, and that there. Yeah, so I'll be able to get these in after. Okay. That's what I wanted. Because after I spray the gear bays with their color, I want to be able to take the gear bay doors and just use a bit of liquid masking agent right along the lip and place them on. That'll dry and hold them in place. And then I'll be able to pop them off after all the painting's done. Let's get the other gear. Yeah. Let's get the other gear bay built.
The model student said the paint will make it a greater challenge for sure. Planning your face emoji.
Oh, the painting's gonna scare the shit out of me. I ain't sugarcoating that for anything.
The model student said this is great bro.
Sometimes I wish I was quicker, but at the same time, I'm glad I'm re-educating myself on how to be slower. Because it feels like every time I start a project like this, there's always that one guy who manages to shit one out in a week. And it kind of steals your motivation. And I hope it's different enough that I'm not going to have, like, copycat syndrome. Because say I was to do this in the regular tiger meat scheme,
Model student
there'd be somebody that would shit one out, you know?
emoji. I'm on their side. You can do it.
I know. But this is definitely going to be a slow burn one. It's not going to be updated very frequently. Yes. Do you have a problem with my friend, Bigus? Dickus? Yeah, that's my speech impediment today.
The model student said I hate those guys. Face with crossed out eyes emoji. Dizzy emoji.
Or watch. Right after I finish this, somebody is going to make a decal set for it.
The model student said fantastic. Rolling on the floor laughing emoji.
Somebody's going to come up with a wallpaper decal set for it. or Hasegawa will finally release their 72nd scale limited edition one. Which, honestly, Hasegawa's 72nd scale Hind is absolute shit. It's actually worse than the monogram one.
The model student said I thought there was one.
There is not. If there is, it's really recent because I've looked. I wanted to see if there was any kind of shortcut I could take to make even a quarter of the task easier. Nope. Okay, and this is slightly warped.
The model student said a decal set. Must have been a fan face with sweat emoji.
There. Okay, let's get this side glued in and lined up first. I think I got that close enough. I'll be able to get it to stay. Yep. My foot itches. Actually, let me Google it because I was Googling it a few months ago. Now, if somebody did one, so that way I could get the numbers for it, that would be great. So, like, the numbers and markings in white would be awesome. But without that, I'm going to have to figure out the masks myself. Yeah, I'm looking at the Edward Hind, which I think is the Zvezda one repopped. Even they haven't touched it. They've done the zipper side, the white one with the tiger striped tail, but Edward isn't even going near it, which is, I think, funny. Yeah, as far as I can tell, none of the usual decal manufacturers have even gone near this one. And yes, I was trying to kill time while this glue set up on here. Thing is, creating a decal set for this wouldn't be easy like doing it for the Enterprise, where it's just a bunch of, almost uniform cylinders and curves in terms of like the shape of it. This you'd have to take into account for a lot more odd angles to make sure everything lines up. Yep, no such beast exists. Alright, make sure the nose gear lines up good. So, still. Perfect. As long as nothing else goes inside, we can start painting on the cockpit and other bits. This thing I'm not going to worry about painting because I'm going to just close it up anyway. Yep. Okay. I need to get that assembled. I need to get the gun assembled. Not that you guys can even see the instructions to know what I'm pointing at. What's up with the exposure? That's better. Alright. Alrighty. I know this stream's been kind of... This shows you just how scatterbrained I've been feeling lately. How's that? If the stream feels kind of scatterbrained, it's because I've been scatterbrained. Come on, I know you want to fit. There. There. Yeah, I'm surprised by how tired I was after work yesterday, though. Because the work day wasn't really anything much different than usual. I'd say, if anything, it had to deal with the storm that came through. That just had me all sorts out of whack. Yeah, I should be able to get those with files. Excuse me. Stay. There we go. Okay, because this nestles in here and gets trapped in there. Like that. Alright, let me take another quick break, then we'll come back and probably start painting on the cockpit a little bit. Got a long ways to go on it. Yeah, so there's that roof, bench seats for the interior. I don't think we'll get the clamshell of the fuselage shut today, but we'll be quite a few steps closer. So yeah, let me take another quick break, go up and down the stairs a few times, get the blood pumping, and I'll be right back.
The model student said thumbs up emoji.
Alright, I'm back. Went and got a snack. Let me bring my pictures up of the real cockpit. And keep in mind, these are just subjective. Most of the time, I've seen them painted this teal blue color, I've seen them painted light blue, I've seen them painted haze gray. It really all depends on the helicopter and when it was refit, and which country did the refit, and a whole bunch of other factors. I guess I'm having Cheetos.
The model student said we do lots of different colors. Alright. I don't know how well this paint's even going to work. I've been having a lot of trouble with my black paint lately. Not worried about the switches. We're going to come back and dry brush over them with a little bit of metallic. And then pick out the ones that need to be red or brown or whatever color for the purpose that the Russians had when they designed it. Our own cockpits follow a similar convention, except that the basic color for most of ours is dark gull gray, and then all the removable like consoles, the faceplate for them is black, and then the switches will be either the same color as the cockpit or some variation of gray therein.
And then other silver switches and red switches and stuff. I am already not liking this mix. At least not on headphones. Oh, it's over anyway. Yeah, I think this black might be over thinned because it's running everywhere. At least on my palette it is. So here's what we'll do. We'll use up most of it and get the floor done. I still have to install a lot of the controls like the rudder pedals, collective, and all that too. And the main sticks. Yeah, what the hell is up with this black paint? I bought it brand new and it's never worked right since day one. It's always done this, and I've shaken the hell out of it multiple times. Maybe I just got a crap bottle. Yeah, see how it's kind of pooling? I don't like that. As long as it dries, it's fine. I can find something else to go over with it. It's going to be getting a lot of, like, scratch and chip effects anyway. The floors in these are always beat up. Yeah, we'll make do. I do want the cockpit to turn out a little bit better than usual, though. Because I will have those doors open. I want to have the troop compartment doors open. It's way too under-detailed. I really don't feel like throwing a lot of crap into there. And this space is supposed to be filled with other pieces of equipment. I've seen pictures. Once it's done, you're really not going to see there. So I might just airbrush in there with black once I get the cockpit brush painted. And I missed a panel with the blue. We'll be able to go back and get that. And a lot of this equipment in the front cockpit is going to be getting painted steel or aluminum and other colors like that as well. I just want to be sure I've got a good undercolor on it. I know all this still seems and feels a bit hokey. Does to me too, just because of how it's turning out right now. See if I can find a way to make this little setback in the paint turn into a positive. But I gotta let it dry first. First, we're going to start by shaking the ever-living shit out of that bottle for about a good 10 minutes. Well, maybe not 10, but a good bit of time. And then we'll use this unseen area as a place to test whether or not it's brushing well. If not, we will switch to something else. And it doesn't seem to be drying flat either, and it should. want to shake it up a bit more. Oh, and Vallejo caps just love to do this. I think I've got a spare somewhere that I can scavenge. Yep. I'm still trying to think of what I want to possibly work on tomorrow. I don't know what it'll be. Like I said, I'm in one of those states where I'm kind of just subject hopping. Let's see what this does. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's brushing much differently. I mean, where I'm putting it, it's staying... I just gotta kind of go back and even it out. It's making a little extra work. I'll be able to make it do something. Okay. Seems to be going on a little bit better. I might just have to run out tomorrow and get a brand new bottle. I don't recall doing anything into that one, but right now my head's about as hazy as a cloud. I can't remember what I did last week. Okay. Yeah, for the most part, the cockpit's lining up panel-wise with what I've got in my photos. There's a couple that don't, but overall it is. Like the one I'm using for reference has a gauge and some other kind of box here with a warning light on it, not all whatever this is. So I'm just going to paint this all black. Fucking love it when that happens right in the middle of a fucking build. Yep, that happens. Alright, let's see if I can find my smaller brush. We can start plucking the bezels around the gauges a little bit. That might work. The paint definitely feels thin enough for it, so we'll see. This one actually has a square panel around it.
The model student said eyes emoji, thumbs up emoji, thumbs up emoji.
I wouldn't say that. My eyes are shit. I'm just lightly letting the brush right around the corner of the edge, if I can get it, which is creating the look of a bezel, which should be there. And if it is, it's impossibly small, which means, knowing Trumpeter, it's probably not there. So this is not a screen, from what I can tell. It's not like an MFD like in some of our stuff. It actually looks like there's a piece of paper in it. Almost like some kind of scrolling paper display, which is weird. Whatever the hell that's supposed to be. But it's like a white, off-white, vanilla color. Did I put anything in there? Nope. That's right, those didn't have gauges, they were just blocked off holes, so I'm gonna throw a little paint in there. Probably hit it with some clear later. Okay, so I wasn't wrong in that estimation. Because all I've got is pictures to go on. Only Hind cockpit I saw was stripped, and it was someplace I can't really talk about. Outside of that, my only other experience is MiG-21s, MiG-29s. Same colors, same overall idea, but much different airframes, obviously. Actually, now that I've got all that done, let me load the brush real quick. Get the front side of this. And once it dries a bit, we'll paint the entire backside, since that has to be black too. Nice. That's what I figured it was. Like, basically they'd have a paper map of their region, you know. And as long as the computer knows how fast you're going and where you're going, you don't have to worry about GPS satellites or any of that crap. Now, where is my off-white? That ain't it. We'll see what that is. I don't know how much of it you're going to see once the canopy's in place, because the seat's going to be in the way and a whole bunch of other things, but it's basically the back wall here. I want to be sure it's not going to be noticed. Be right back. I gotta go find where I put my off-white. I think I put it back in a box with another model. So just give me 1 second. Okay, that was pointless. Now I can't find what I'm looking for. I know I didn't throw it out. Is that it? I think that's it. Ah! Fucking arthritis. I don't know what color that is, but I'm gonna use it. I just hate when it feels like your knuckles burning on the inside. I don't think this is the color that I mixed up, but I'm gonna use it anyway.
The model student said both misplacing and arthritis.
Yeah, I would like for this to turn out decent enough that I can have both doors open on it. Oh, with me, it's my knees, my back, my wrists, my elbows, my hands. Okay, there is another piece I've got to glue on there still, but I'm not worried about that right now. I'm going to try and at least get all the instrument panels on these done. Let that dry. Maybe come back and dull coat it just to knock that black down into the flat range.
The model student said looking dumb. Saw your MK44 short, grabbed mine.
It sounded like that cut off in the middle, I was right. Yeah, the MK44 was, it was a good build. There's nothing inherently wrong with the kit. I just don't like the styling of the model itself. Like, I know Ko Yokoyama's done a lot of designs for other things. He's designed some Zoids, he's done a lot of anime designs, he's done a lot of game art, too. The Mark 44 always reminded me of the ape suits in an OVA anime that was released in the 90s called, well, the US title was Big Wars. I can't even begin to pronounce the Japanese title. The designs worked within that world for what, they needed, but I always felt they were a little too ape-like, and I don't know, they like, the Machine and Krieger ones don't look highly mobile either, but they had a kind of crude functionality to them that the way that things hang on the Mark 44 just doesn't quite work right to the eye. It's the best way I can describe it. Others go goo goo gaga over it. To me, I'll take a Heinrich or an AFS-1 or super armored fighting suit over the Mark 44 any day when it comes to, like, how it looks. But that's me. I'm weird like that. To be fair, though, when it came out as a model, I think at the time there had been a rather long spell of no real new designs. So I can get why it caused a stir. At the time it was the first new design in a very long time. I wanted to give it a shot, see if it would grow on me. It did, and it didn't. Look out. Who we got behind us? Oh, we got a Mittens. Okay. At the same time, though, the Mark 44 wasn't designed particularly as Machine and Krieger. I think it was designed for, like, Robot Battle 4 or 5 or something like that. I'd have to get the book. How do we know that they're cast metal? They could be cast composite. It's supposed to be 3,000 years from now. We, within the confines of the story, we don't know. I like to give mine a cast texture because it gives the eye something to hold on to. It gives a frame of reference for what the material could be. It doesn't have to be necessarily metal, but it could be something cast, right? And depending on the means you do cast it in, sand casting would leave a texture like that. Or it could have a cast outer shell, simply because maybe somebody decided along the lines we want it to be something that could be modified, and the easiest way to modify something that's supposed to be inherently air or watertight is to weld to it, so you don't have to drill through it. You could make up millions of excuses for things, you know. See, I don't rust them. For armor like that to rust, it needs to sit outside for a very, very, very long time, right? And even then, the welds won't rust; they'll remain silver because of the nickel content. Yeah, I see a lot of rusting done on models that really shouldn't be there. Like, the level of rusting I see reminds me of the Shermans they pulled up out of the Black Sea. I think it was the Black Sea. Anyway, they pulled them up off a wreck and rebuilt them using vertical VVSS suspension units for some weird reason. Yeah, if you want rust like that, you're gonna have to bury them in salt water for the better part of 50 years. The amount and type of rusting I see is anachronistic to the materials, how they're stored, where they're stored, and the fact they're being used. Right? And I think even the so-called legend of the Russian factory putting T-34s out unpainted was kind of debunked a little bit. So I'm just going to paint the rest of this area black in here just to make it so it's not an eyesore when we look in through whatever windows are there. This so-called area is a bunch of electronics and like a flight engineer's cabin. But that's why I never really go heavy on the rust with the actual armored parts. Exactly, so I think what people were misconstruing as being rusted was actually a brown primer. And I think somebody actually went into depth on that and proved that point. I don't know who or when. This is back in the 90s. Back when that whole thing was popular. Just like the whole brand new gun barrels on German tanks during the war. Certain ones would have been gray, certain ones would have been brown primer, depending on where they came from and what their use was. If they were naval, they would have been gray lacquered. I think more of them were gray lacquer than brown primer. But everybody loved the red brown primer, so let's just throw that on it. And that actually got kind of annoying because everybody was building a tank with a replacement barrel at the time. It's like, oh god, not again. Well, Davos also consider, like, you see people doing the pictures of Comp Group Fairman, you know, the old F-13 tank and its associated tanks. They're always depicted as having really beat to shit Zimmerit, and, you know, yes, we understand they were built out of early tanks, or no, they were built. One example was a late hull, or no, one example was an early hull with steel road wheels and a mid-production turret with an early cupola, right? They were just thrown together from what parts they had because they're part of a training school. a lot of the pictures, if you go and look, of the vehicles before they were scrapped were taken years after the war was over. After they'd been shot, after they'd been blown up and disabled, probably practiced on too, after it had been rained on for 2 to 3 years. So the Zimmerit's falling off from just erosion and oxidation underneath. The shock of impact is knocked off the Zimmerit as well. But they're depicting these tanks as being in service looking that shitty, when I bet you $5 they were in better shape and more physically complete looking than we give them credit for. And even the Gate Guardians, the only thing that really rusts is the sheet metal. And that's if they're not maintained by the owning organization. Because most places that have them, they'll do their yearly, bucket brigade on it, and go and clean it. They'll clean it up, they'll repaint it. At least minimally, they'll repaint it. But even range wrecks that have been sitting out there and haven't been shot at yet aren't as rusty as most people depict an active service tank. There's plenty of pictures of range wrecks that have been put out there. They haven't been shot at, or shot at, aggressively. And they're still wearing most of their paint. Faded, yes, but still painted, with little to no rust on them. But when you're talking sci-fi, like Machine and Krieger, you can do whatever you want with it. It's sci-fi. I personally prefer not to rust things. I think it looks cheap. I think it's an easy out. And it diminishes, your ability to actually make something look interesting. Now, can you have rust on them? Yes, you can. Especially even on tanks and armored cars and things of that nature. Any place a bolt goes into the hull can have a rust streak. Any place that sheet metal's attached can have a rust streak. But the surface of the armor is harder than your average sheet metal, so it will not rust at the same rate or intensity as regular metal. The molecular density of the armor is so thick that it won't develop the kind of rust that people associate with it. Yeah, anything. Screws, nuts, bolts, washers. Especially if it's a dissimilar metal, like somebody used an aluminum screw, that aluminum's going to go white really quick. Sorry, I'm just giving paint time to cure. And I'm contemplating what I want to work on tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be this or the Humvee. Or Frame Arms Girl. I don't know. There is one case that I saw a tank that had rusted like that, right? Like the overdone rusting we were discussing. It was a Conqueror at a museum in Norfolk, but it had been bead blasted down to the metal and left outside. And it didn't rust bright orange. It rusted to a burnt umber color. And all the welds were still silver. That's because they were restoring it, and they hadn't got around to painting it yet. So after they blasted it, they parked it outside for a little while. How big is your Mage screen? Like what size screen are you looking to get at? I'm loving the hell out of my Saturn II. You can get them really cheap. I've had it for 3 years now, and I haven't had any. Or some wood. Haven't had any issues with the screen. Replaced the FEP film in the vat a few times, but that's typical. Yeah, what size build plate are you wanting is the real question. Like you say, you use it to mainly minis. There's some big minis out there. You can get the Elegoo Saturn II for around $150, or the equivalent, where whatever your local currency is. But Elegoo's solid. I have not had a single issue with them. And their resin's affordable as well. It doesn't seem to stink as highly as other companies' resins. The only thing I would avoid is don't follow the trap of, okay, so you get a printer with 8K or 12K. You don't have to buy the 8K or 12K resin. I have gotten better prints using regular 2K resin. Oh, wow. Did it crack, or did it just start developing the little squiggle lines and everything? Because I've had my Elegoo 3 years, and you know how I print. A lot less lately, but still. I still print quite a bit. And yeah, I'm going on 3 years. Yeah, I haven't tried any cubic. Mainly because I've heard it has a higher vapor rating. I also use the water washable resin. Oh, wow. It sounds like you're having issues with that like I had with the E-Packs. Remember that little bastard? I'm still pissed at that. It makes me... So I bought the E-Packs. It was the first large format printer at the time that was larger than the usual 3.3 screen, but not as big as like the big mini fridge printers. And people in the stream helped me get it. And I did get it. I still have it, believe it or not. But it kept junking its own screen. It would lose its home. Well, the screen it came with was bad from the factory. Got a replacement for that. It was bad. Got a third one. It was good, but then as I was actually able to print with the printer, the machine itself would lose its zero, so it would crush its own screens. So I got done, tired of handling that. By the time I got back around to getting another large format printer, Elegoo had released the Saturn series, so I got a Saturn II. Haven't looked back, you know, and it does some amazingly detailed stuff. So, but yeah, if you want something about the same size, try the Elegoo Saturn II. Obviously, vat cleaning and that stuff's important for any resin printer, but as long as I haven't had failures, I kind of just give it a skim, make sure there's no chunkies floating, and if there's not, I'll go on to the next print. I have had no issues with it. And it's actually got a feature built in. There was a time I missed something, and this would have crushed any other printer's screen. I come downstairs and I hear mine going thunk, 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 thunk. I'm like, oh crap, what? Turns out there was something on the vat. And it actually has a little ratchet system built in that won't allow it to put down full pressure if there's an object in the vat. So yeah, I'd try Elegoo. I have not had any bad luck with Elegoo. And even their earlier color screens, the like the original shit they had back on the Mars. I had a screen last me 2 years before it broke from my own stupidity. You know? So yeah, a lot of the trouble I've had with printers is due to my own idiocy. Except for the ePacs. But that, yeah. Try Elegoo and tell me what you think. I know Ares uses it. There's been a couple people who bought Elegoo printers from just seeing me work with them. And they've never said anything bad about it. Where did that go? There it is. And no, I am not sponsored by Elegoo. Yep. Yep. Most of the time, these days, any trouble you have with printers are generally going to be user error. Especially with the more established brands. I don't even know if ePax still exists. I haven't looked, I haven't bothered. You know what? Maybe once I get the Humvee. There, I said it again. Haha! I haven't said it a lot this stream, so I'm making up for lost time. Maybe I'll just tie the ePax to it and drag it down the street. I am not having... No, because that's gonna go away once I get the real one, and we won't need it anymore. Hey, you want to hear me stop talking about it? Why don't you help me get it? Hey! Kind of like ads. You know how to get rid of the ads, right? Besides an ad blocker. I'm even trying a different paint and I'm having no luck. I think it's just me today. Oh, don't you dare. You better be hanging on. Okay. Gonna see. You better be hanging on to something back there. But before I start painting the outside, I definitely have to go through and study the pictures and see what he put where as the base colors first, and then look at what he used as his primary colors for all the different areas. I don't think I'll have to get too many specialized paints, but I think it might be, because it's been raining here for the past 2 days. We've had a record storm. Okay. All right. I think those are gauges. I'll just throw a little dot of black in the middle of those. We'll definitely wait until the next stream I work on this to do the switches and dials. Like I said, I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or not. I don't know what we're working on tomorrow. I just hope I don't wake up feeling as tired as I did today. Jeez. I really did not want to spend... It was easily 11 hours in bed. But I'm thinking my body's saying, no, you need rest now. And that was that. Okay. I might just use the airbrush and shoot this with black. At least it'll go on more even. Let's see what we're looking at here. Come on. Wait a goddamn minute. There we go. Yeah, so I'm gonna just have to shoot these walls with black. Yeah, we'll have to have all this assembled before we put it together anyway, just to make sure it all sits right. Alright, but I'm going to call it a stream so I can let things dry. And I got some adulting to do around the house. But we're getting there. Not my best work. Hopefully I can turn it around. But thanks everybody for watching. I will be back on again tomorrow. And hopefully I have more energy and we can get a little bit more done. So take it easy. Thanks.